Welcome back. I'm Moira Hutchison, life coach and hypnotherapist. If you're just joining us, we're talking about how life coaching can help you achieve greater success in all areas of your life. To find out a wee bit more about my services, I invite you to check out my website, wellnesswithmoira.com. And now I am really excited to introduce my second guest. Anny Tenbult is the CEO of Power Focus Coaching and the founder of Find a Coach Expo, which we were just talking about. Thank you so much for joining me, Anny.
Thank you.
So tell us a wee bit about your style of coaching. We talked about Anne's much more into the productivity coaching. How would you describe you as a coach?
Well, I do power focus. I basically power coaching with mind kinetics. So I go to the root cause of the issue, and I work with all different types of people, executives, life coaching, and do it in person and on the phone. But that's one of the reasons I have the Find a Coach Expo. I want to meet the people in person.
Right on.
Yeah, here in Ottawa.
Describe mind kinetics.
Well, mind kinetics, you go to the root of the matter. Okay. So, you know, you're digging from different sides of your brain.
Okay.
So, a lot of us are used to using one side or the other, and what do you think Ottawa is? Right?
Yes, very sciencey.
Well, I mean, it is partly, you know, the culture of, being in the capital city.
The government mentality, for sure. Yeah, not a lot of artistic flair.
Now, if by using and becoming bilateral, using both sides of the brain, then you basically can solve your problems easier and quicker.
Absolutely, and you know, in the training that I've been doing as an energy worker, that as humans, we are moving into that more and more, that we are being called upon to use both sides of our brain, which is actually, like you say, that's for out-of-the-box problem solving.
And it's faster. It's much faster.
It is. But the thing is isn't it funny that so many people don't realize they can change what their favored way is? People don't realize that.
And that's the reason why coaching is becoming more popular.
Yes.
And in Ottawa, because, you know, it's like you said, it's more one way than the other.
Yeah.
It's starting.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing this for...
Yeah, how long have you been?
Over 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, it's so funny because on one hand, coaching's been around for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been around for like 50 odd years,
yes.
really, in some form. But really, you know what? Coaching is like talking to a best friend. Yeah. It's like having, it's probably, I've always said, my whole concept, my Get Unstuck method is all about helping you stop focusing so much on the problem, because in order for that problem to be in existence, the solution's already there too. So as coaches, we've been trained to listen, but like whole brain listening, and then reflect back.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you're talking about with the mind kinetics.
And it's
part.
asking the different questions. If you ask, a question from one side of the brain and then the other side of the brain, then a person's going to be able to come out with the solution a lot easier, and they're going to be able to access parts of their brain they didn't know. I've had people go, "Oh, I didn't know." Wow, okay, I didn't know that still bothered me, or wow, geez, I had that. I used to do that before, so now I can do it now, or whatever. I mean, they come out with their own solutions, and that's key. That's key.
That is the most important thing about getting unstuck, but also about making the coaching relationship work, right? Because if I give you a solution and you go off and say, "Oh, Moira says this is going to work, and I'm going to do this tool, or use this technique," you might do it.
I'm not going to be empowered.
Well, no, but you might do it for 4 or 5 days and say, "Yeah, I know, I feel good," and then it's just going to go on the shelf.
Yeah.
And because the truth is it has to be yours.
Yeah.
You know, this reminds me of a conversation I had with actually another coach just last week. We were talking about using affirmations. I actually use affirmations with clients, but they're not the off-the-shelf ones, and they're not prescribed by me. What I do is I teach people to write their own. And so it's really funny in this conversation, this coach, I knew she was getting really resistant. I was like, "Oh, I don't like affirmations." But then I said, "Well, have you ever used your words?" And she said, You mean I can do that?
Yeah. No, I teach people to write their own belief
Yeah.
systems, but we do it together, you know, especially
Yes,
at the beginning.
I do it with my clients too.
Yeah.
And it's important because it's so funny how getting stuck, sometimes people get stuck into this way of thinking. Society says, work says, relationship says, people say, what are people going to say of me if I buck the trend or do something different?
Well, it's our values are important. People always look at all their stresses and challenges, and what about all the values? Everybody has something that they're good at, something that they have value in every area. So let's look at those. Let's build those strengths up. You know, that's really more important than looking always at, you know,
what you want to get rid of, or yes, absolutely.
Because you can take those strengths and build on them.
You absolutely can, and actually, I say to people that in itself is an awesome guidance system for yourself. Is if you focus on what lifts you up, that's a yes. If you focus on what makes you think, oh my God, I don't want to do that, that's a no.
Well, and then also you look at those challenges much differently. You're already so much happier because of everything else.
And I don't know about you, but even if I've got myself into a place of feeling more up, I'm willing to do some of those things that I don't really want to.
Yeah, it's easier.
It is. Yeah. It is. So how do you help people reframe? Say somebody comes to you with a scenario like that they are doing, say, a position or a job that they don't like. How would you help coach them through something like that?
Well, they don't like the job, they're planning to stay in it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The debt collector's knocking on the door.
They got to pay their bills.
Yeah.
Well, basically we would coach, and there's always something good. I mean, they went into that job because there was something good there to begin with. So I'm going to ask some questions around, you know, because they're obviously seeing me for a reason. And they want to stay there because, like you said, they would need to pay their bills. So they'll find out quite often by having some coaching that there's actually a lot of good points at their job as well. So we look at all aspects. Of course, communication aspects is a very common issue, that they have a communication problem with someone. That might be a big part of the reason why they're not happy at their job.
Absolutely.
So let's deal with that. So
and give them some tools to do it better.
I teach people how to coach themselves. So once they have those tools, they can take that into their workplace, and they're quite often, I've seen people that didn't like their workplace because of their boss, a coworker, because I mean, there's bullying in the workplace.
Oh, I know.
You think it's only children?
No,
a lot of adults.
I get that. It's unfortunate. It actually really upsets me when that. But no, that's very, very good point about the empowering them to use the tools on their own, because that's what I've always said is that my job as a coach is to teach tools, to listen to the problem, to teach tools, but to help people actually try the tools and then discard what doesn't work.
That's right.
Because my goal as a coach is to actually have clients walking away empowered and with their own toolkit that's designed by them, right? So how long would you say you work with clients because it sounds like you kind of help people design their own toolkit too. How long would you say you work with a client to get to that?
It depends on the client. So it's somewhat custom. I mean, a lot of coaches say, okay, you have to come to me for a year every week, and that's a little much for a lot of my clients that are executives, and that would be too much because they're traveling.
That would be too much for my clients too.
So generally bi-weekly, and 6 months. In that neighborhood. And I think that's
I think
similar
we're on the
to
same
what
page. That's pretty much what I do.
Then you'll see real change.
Absolutely.
I mean, we don't want to just do surface.
No, actually what I often find is that I'll do that 6 months with the bi-weekly, but then I'll go into, I put like a maintenance package together where it might be once a month for a 6 month period after that. Because what you find, and I'm sure you find this too, is that we're all layers of an onion, right? So once you get certain areas in order, that there's other things come up and to get dealt with or helped through.
Yeah, and it's on the individual. Like quite often they want to continue.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they notice the changes, and their family life is now better because they've worked on their work life.
Yeah.
They're now in the community doing great social things.
Mm-hmm. Making a difference.
Making a difference,
Yeah.
and that's great. And they weren't there before.
Exactly. Well, it's because it's almost like they get to put the light on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And actually see what's possible for them.
Yeah. What can you do to help others?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing better and more gratifying than being able to help others. Being able to sort of get above that whole area of I don't like this and I don't like that in my life. Yeah. That once you get past that and start finding the joy, I think that's the biggest piece about coaching, is finding the joy. Like you said, even in jobs that you don't necessarily like. That's something that I help people do too, is to maybe you're in a job that you don't necessarily like, but it's actually a stepping stone to getting to the next place too. Yeah. And so if you can get up every day and say, this is me doing my work towards getting to that position, that's another way that can often
Or it could be they go and find a job totally different. I've seen that too.
Yes.
And that's okay. But they do have to pay their bills.
We live in a society where you have to do that. You can't just sort of say, okay, that's it, I don't like this, and
up and leave. No, it's best to have a job ahead.
Well, it is, but the key piece is to find joy, even in the smallest things. What's one of the things that I really help people see is gratitude, and sometimes even if that's just being grateful for the bed that you slept in, or the heat in your car, or those kind of things, right? So please stay tuned. Annie and I are going to talk a little bit more about the Find a Coach Expo, and more on coaching, helping you get unstuck and creating success one step at a time. Talk to you in a minute.